Well, it's a chilly one here in Ontario. Got up this morning, went and got my wife a little drink, and Jody's son Jet is over for the night, so him and Ollie are playing hockey in the driveway. Playing hockey in the driveway. Yeah, so a lot going on this week. It's kind of a weird time, right? I always say, you'll always hear me say, when we're racing, oh, it's a busy time of year. Sales, it is busy. It's a different kind of busy because it drains you on both ends, right? You have to be ready to go to the sale. Plus, I have to be able to talk to our clients and figure out what they're looking for, what we're going to do. We still have some shares that we want to clean up. I didn't get a chance to get that done this week. That's what will be done this week. Now, tomorrow, I have, tonight, I'm leaving around 9 o'clock and driving back to the Meadows. My wife said, why don't you just leave at 6? Well, I want to make sure the kids are in bed, and then I'll head out. I actually don't mind the 5-hour drive at night. I do mind it in the morning. It drains me really bad. Last week, or the last time I was home was the first time I did it. I left at 10 o'clock at night and got to the Meadows at 3 a.m. I was fine. Had a sleep, get up at 9 o'clock. I was fresh as a daisy. But for some reason, when I get up at 6 or even 7 or even 7:30 here, get a drink, drive that 5 hours. When I get out of the car to get on the race bike an hour later, I'm wiped out. The last time I drank a Red Bull, I think at 12:30 in the afternoon, I was just wiped out. I don't know why. The drive, none of the drives usually bother me, but that one does. So I'm going to leave tonight, 8 o'clock at night, I guess yesterday for you guys, and head out. So I did my opening. I did 2 of them when it got cut off. So you have 2 openings. I want to talk about the racing. Now, a lot of people have asked us about, somebody asked me the other day, why is Arctic Force up for sale? Why is Bottle of Red up for sale? How come he sold? Need your opinion. That was a unique sale in its own right because she didn't technically even leave her stall. But the dynamic of that ownership has changed dramatically. So what horses are up for sale? Why are you selling them? What are we going to do with them? There's at least 3 horses I'm looking at that will become potential broodmares. We've been shopping them around as broodmares to our clients, and I would say over the next 30 days, because they have to be under the lights for a while. And I don't know anything about breeding, but I had a decent conversation with Steve Jones and his kids from Cameo Hills. Tyler, I forget the other young man's name. Very knowledgeable people about the breeding industry, and I'm not knowledgeable about the breeding industry. When it comes to breeding horses, I know nothing, right? Now, many of you know that I did buy the breeding to Walner. The Walners were through the roof, expensive. He's the flavor of the month. Very, I guess, a minor gamble. I bought so the way the breeding worked was this. It was a charity breeding. You have 1 breeding this year. You have to get the mare in full, you forfeit the money. So there's a little gamble, but this is why we're getting to the mare portion right now. Steve and Tyler and the other kid had said, you got to get them under the lights, you got to get them prepped and ready to go, start breeding them mid-February, I guess. Mid-February to end of February, I suppose. First part of March, I guess. But they'll breed the mare as many times as you want, but that's your season. That's it. So, I'll be honest. I bought the breeding for Nancy Allison. Now, Nancy Allison raced last night. Didn't get the trip I wanted, but Nancy makes it hard on herself, right? I just wanted to drag her off the gate, drop her in the 6 hole. She was a little rough. In the race going into the first turn. I could feel her kind of soften up going to the turn when I was grabbing a hold of her. So I just let her trot forward. I just, rule number 1, driving trotters. You guys know that. I've been saying it for years. Keep the horses trotting. And I just felt that Nancy Allison was not going to stay trotting in behind somebody. I felt that although I don't want her on the front end and didn't want her on the front end, that's where she had to be last night. And I didn't want to be there. I can assure you Travis Henry didn't want me there. But it's just the way it shook down. So I come off the track and I said to myself, even if Nancy Allison wins in 2, 2, and 3, who cares? She got a qualifying mark at 2, 2, and 4 as a 2-year-old. She's well-bred. And just to set the table properly for you guys, an unraced sister to Nancy Allison by Andover Hall. I believe it was an Andover Hall mare. Sold a Walner baby for $70,000. That's where the Walner came from. So here we have a very, very well-bred filly, very prolific family, and I have the breeding to Walner. So I think you guys can put 2 and 2 together. At this point, we're probably going to start switching gears. I know it's only October. We can race Nancy a couple more times, but we are going to start switching gears to the point where we move away from, Nancy, geez, it'd be nice to get a mark at 57 on her, to I don't think that's going to happen before January. So what's next? So we do have a number of clients that own Nancy that maybe don't want to be in the breeding business with us with Nancy Allison. So I would suspect over the next month or so, we'll be reaching out to clients and saying, listen, what do you want? I'm not going to overpay for the filly. I mean, I can sell the Walner breeding. It's not that hard to do. But if you want to stay in and be a part of the breeding, we can do one of two things. We can get Nancy Allison and foal to Walner and sell her in foal to Walner. We can foal the mare out at a farm anywhere in the world, North America anyway, foal the mare out, keep the yearling, sell the yearling. We can keep the yearling and race the yearling. There's a multitude of things. I would think, given the playing field with this family, I would think that maybe we would sell the yearling or even sell the mare in foal. Those are possibilities. I don't really have a lot of interest in breeding Nancy Allison to Walner, keeping the baby and training it down and racing it. So I would think my plan first and foremost would be to sell Nancy Allison in foal to Walner or sell the Walner yearling. So does that mean we team up with a breeding operation, whether it be Blue Chip or whether it be Steve Jones or whether it be Twin Bee Farms? I had talked to Tammy, about I talked to them about potentially having the filly. They do a great job there. Also, I mean, any of these professional breeding operations do a good job, but it costs money. So where do we go moving forward? This is a long game. Gotta choose my words carefully here. This is a long game opportunity when it comes to Nancy Allison. We've lost heavily on the racing side of Nancy Allison, but as I had said to you, when we bought Nancy Allison, there is residual breeding value here. To just sell her as a broodmare, the only thing a farm is going to offer you is credit at a sale, and it will be at a buyer's price, neither of which is really going to help us. I think the best thing to do is explore that path, explore that avenue, and say, okay, we're going to breed Walner to Nancy Allison. What does that look like? Now, be forewarned. If we breed, if that's the plan, then the Walner breeding will be absorbed by the ownership group. There'll be $17,000 American due to the owners, who I own a significant portion of Nancy Allison also, due to the owners when we breed her. So if you're thinking we can eke out a few races and sell Nancy Allison, that's not the plan moving forward. The plan moving forward will be to breed Nancy Allison. I believe it makes sense. We bought her with this residual value in place, and I believe it's a smart play here. So that's the route that we will be going with Nancy Allison throughout the fall and into the winter. Now, many people throughout the last year and a half have been dumping their shares of Muscle Chrome, and I've been trying to happily accommodate everybody as best I can. We have Muscle Chrome, who's also not nearly as well bred as Nancy Allison. As my good buddy Steve put it, it would be grossly overbreeding her to take that Walner breeding and breed it to Muscle Chrome. She's a regional, a jurisdictional broodmare, so Ontario. Now, I have a number of ideas about Muscle Chrome and about what I plan on doing with Muscle Chrome. I'm not positive yet, but I think it's pretty obvious. We're going to race her a little bit. She's ready to go anytime. Harry said just a couple of fast miles and we can qualify her. Is she going to win? Is she going to win the open trot? No. Be nice to win a maiden, wouldn't it? So we'll probably race Muscle Chrome into late November, and then again focus on the importance here is if we get a nice foal and we decide to keep any of these horses, it would be important to have them bred so the foal is born late January, early February. That would be ideal. Then you can keep them in that early breeding schedule. If you look at, we had to breed the other mares, they didn't get in foal till almost June. They had those late May foals. I think the best thing that happened for us with Stolen Dance was that she didn't catch this year, so that means we can revert back to that March schedule. You can see what's happening here. We're building a wing of the stable that's going to breed horses. It's an interesting opportunity. I never dawned on me when I started the stable.ca. I guess if I had to look further down the road, past the stable idea working, past the stable idea being interesting and being successful, I guess the obvious branch of that would be some sort of a breeding operation. I really want to take baby steps when it comes to this, but at the same time, we are going to move forward. Now, the third horse we're talking about is Capistrano. Capistrano is a very, very well-bred filly. You see her line, her direct line, all over the sale catalogs. I wish I could remember what the colt went for. Just a beautiful colt out of a sister to Capistrano. Sold at, I want to say, Lexington. Might have been the online sale. I'm not sure. I'll look it up. But regardless, Capistrano was a very good 2-year-old for us. Now, here's a filly with a mark of 53 as a 2-year-old, 50,000 made. No slouch. She's had a terrible 3-year-old season. So I gave all the clients of Capistrano an option. 3 choices. She can't do the 9 winners of 3 at Mohawk. Maybe later on the winter she can, but I think that's wasted time. We have an opportunity also with her. Sell her, put her in a condition claimer, or breed her. I think those were the options that made the most sense. And I knew the answer before I asked it. I mean, most people that own this mare, own this filly, know how good she was for us, know how much, and I know how much she meant to a lot of people that own this filly. And the good news is, aside from War We Needy, this War We Needy stuff, War We Needy was a fantastic racehorse. Please don't forget he'd a mark of, 47? 46 and 4, 47? Just an incredible athlete in his own right. Nobody knows what those broodmares are going to be worth. He himself was from a strong family also. So I'm not worried about the War We Needy side. I am worried about the filly. She's small. I'd like to breed her to a bigger stallion. So who is it? Who do we breed her to? That's outside my depth. As far as crosses and whatnot, way outside my depth. I'm not going to guess. Looking at the sale, I would think you want to breed her to a large stallion and hope for a fairly large foal. If that's the case, Jesus, the biggest sires I've seen are Huntsville. They're massive in New York. Obviously down by the seaside in Ohio, things of that nature. We have options when it comes to these horses, and I know it's uncharted waters, and I'm just as shaky. This is just shaky enough ground for me also, without talking to some of our clients. Some of the people that own these horses are not interested in breeding them, so there's going to be a transition part out of the racehorse side of Nancy Allison, Muscle Chrome, and Capistrano into a breeding partnership in that regard. We have to define what that looks like. So that's kind of interesting, a little scary, but also very, very interesting in its own right. So that's what's going to happen with those 3 horses. Now, we also have a lot of horses that are on the list, horses that are on a bubble. Can they do when they get out of the class they're in? And if not, when do we start shopping them around? And there's a lot of horses on this list. You saw Arctic Force. I know Kenny had mentioned to me last week, geez, I'd rather try him somewhere else. At the end of the day, Arctic Force isn't going to do in a straight 9 winners of 3 almost anywhere. And if there is a place to race him, I haven't found it. So, riddle me this. Tell me where you think Arctic Force can win races and make money, and I'll be happy to put him on the first truck directed at that jurisdiction. I know Kenny had said, what about Jim King with Dover? I posed the question to Jim King, and I haven't heard back from him yet. Now, that could be Jim's busy, or Jim doesn't think he can do. I know I looked at the types of horses that are racing down around that area, and Arctic Force can't do in the 9 winners of 3 there. But I'll leave it up to somebody that actually lives there before I make that assertion to begin with. So what other horses are on this list? Cabernet won last night, 15 claimer, non-winners of 20. She's an American-bred filly, and somebody said, no, she's not. She's Ontario. No, she's not. She's Pennsylvania. Arcspeak was in Pennsylvania when she was born, so she doesn't have any allowance. Right now, she's got $13,000 in a bit. She can make another $6,000 in this class, and then she's in a little tough. So I would say within the next $6,000, we're going to have to try and figure out what we're going to do with Cabernet. She's worth money as a racehorse somewhere, and she's probably worth a little money as a broodmare. This is a sister. She's out of a sister to Androvet, if I remember correctly. So Cabernet is she's not number 1. The first one I put on the list. Arctic Force is on that list. Ailsund is in a condition claimer on tomorrow? No, Wednesday. I believe she's in Wednesday. Bottle Red has been listed for sale. When Bottle Red finds her way to this class, it's going to be really tough at the Meadows for her. Really tough. She's been ready to go since March or April, probably looking for a little rest. I would suspect that Bottle of Red will likely win that class and be sold within the next week or so. Broadway Roll, another one. You guys knew this. We're going to bring Broadway Roll back, race her at London and Flamborough, see if we can't find a spot for her, and then maybe sell her. Horse that might surprise you, Captain's Maid. This affiliate, she's not going to be a stake filly. She's not going to pay some 49 in Pennsylvania next year, 50. But she could do somebody a lot of good. She's done us some good. I think she can put away pretty good money all winter long at the Meadows. And if we end up selling her along the way for decent money, then so be it. That's great too. Carry a Big Stick. Obviously, this horse is long overdue. I trained him yesterday. He trained good. He's got some weight to lose. He's got some speed to drop down. But I was pretty happy with Carry a Big Stick yesterday when I trained him. Changing the guards on the site, I've had 3-4 people offer to buy him. Now, I'm not giving the horse away. I can win the non-winners at 2 at the Meadows. I can put him in a condition claimer where he goes for $15,000, his claiming tag. He can beat that bunch, which is another $2,900 or $3,000. There's $18,000 right there. I'm not giving the horse away. The horse just win a lifetime mark of 158 at Northfield Park. I just thought it was an opportune time to shop him around. If we get him sold, fine. If we don't, that's fine too. He's a decent racehorse. Don't believe me, just watch. We talked about him. I know a lot of people had maybe quietly asked Kevin, hey, can we try him in the non-winners of 3? He can't do in the non-winners of 3 at Mohawk. I don't care. I know he didn't get away great. He put a step in. You could start him in front of the starting gate. He's not beating those horses. Not on a regular basis, I don't think. And, I just think we got a good class for him and we're underutilizing. Don't believe me, just watch. But we'll see. Again, I might say this on a video, but this is Kevin's realm. It'll be up to Kevin. And I told him, I said, Kevin, I'll take care of all our clients. You take care of the horses that you have. And, race him accordingly. So it's up to him. I'll Play It Alone, another horse, obviously. We brought him back. Here's the thing. You know what's funny? Tim calls me. What day did I get home? Wednesday night? Tim calls me. Yeah, it must have been. Thursday morning, Tim calls me. I'll Play It Alone can draw in the 8-hole. Now, in Ontario, if you're the also eligible and a horse scratches, they give you the option. Would you like to draw in? Would you not like to draw in? If you don't draw in, you can race next week. They don't give you that option, at least in the Meadows. If you're the also eligible and the horse is scratched, you are racing. And if you don't race, it's counted as a scratch. So I'm like, I don't really want to race him into the 8-hole back 5 days. He goes, I don't think you understand. If you don't race him, it counts as a scratch. I said, oh, I didn't know that. So I'll Play It Alone, head to draw in with the 8-hole. I'll take care of him on Monday. I think he's going to do exactly what we turned him out to do, come back and be a decent little horse. So I'll Play It Alone's got the 8-hole, the dreaded 8-hole tomorrow at the Meadows. Italian Grit, another horse, not a stake colt. So let's bring him back, race him, and see what we're going to do with him. You're going to see a lot of this on this list. If these aren't going to be useful horses, they'll be useful right now. But there's saturation points. So the ability to do well in a class is much lower than some of the other horses. Like, we'll get to a horse down here, Need Your Opinion, that we just sold. There are classes there for her. I just didn't like the risk attributed considering the money we were offered for. Now, partners, two of the partners on that filly took the bull by the horn, so to speak. They said, you want 240 American, you want 24,000? Fine, we'll buy everyone out. Which they almost did. There was one lady that stayed in. Catherine called me yesterday and said she wanted to keep her share. Perfect. I think there's 4 people own Need Your Opinion now, and they want to race her in the Harvest Series and then maybe send her to the Meadows. That's fine. Whatever they want to do is fine with me. But a lot of these horses, like Italian Grit, non-winners 1, non-winners a 2, condition claimer. That's pretty much it for him right now. Now, he might surprise me and make that next jump. And if he can make that next jump, the world changes completely for these horses. If you can do in that non-winners of 3 company, there's lots of races for them. I'm just concerned that non-winners of 2 condition claimer will be the ceiling for these horses right now, which means there's not a lot of room for them in the stable. So that's pretty much what you're getting with this list. Italian Grit, Jessie Balboa, same type of thing. Miss Brampton Beast is coming back. She's turning 4. I'd like to see her race good throughout the fall and into the winter, but she's going to find herself into the condition claimers also. Need Your Opinion, same thing. Sold. Off-Road Hanover, non-winners of 1, non-winners of 2, condition claimer type. Unless he proves me wrong. Listen, by all means, please prove me wrong. I would love nothing more. I'm just telling you, I'm giving you a forecast of what I believe is about to happen. Off-Road Hanover, still a nice horse. We'll see what happens with him. Perfect Record, same type of horse. Really Blue Chip's coming back. We wanted her ready for the fall, for the winter. What does that mean after that? Well, that's up to Really Blue Chip. I think the sky's the limit for this filly. This is a filly that trotted in 57 as a 2-year-old over Yonkers. It's a mile in like 54 at Mohawk. Never in her life has she actually looked as good as she does right now. We worked specifically to put weight on her, and Johnny, Teresa, I think Teresa has the filly now. They have done such a good job. She actually looks like she has weight on now. So that's great. Rooney Blue Chip, another horse. Now where's a 2? Now where's a, now where's a 2-3 condition claimer? Those types of horses, this isn't me being mean. This is me just telling you, there's not a lot of places to go after that. You're cornered. So, Rooney Blue Chip's on there. Spend That Money race great the other day. She's going to be able to make her way up the classes a little bit, but at some point she'll probably end up on the on-gate site also. Sweet Ambitions will be coming back in another couple of weeks. Another filly, much like the Italian Grits of the stable. And then the ones that you know, Tanzanite Tricks, I don't know. She hasn't had much of a chance yet. Kevin said she was a little off left hind. She is coming up to the top barn this week. We'll take her over and train her on Wednesday. I'll ask James to go there and give me an update on her, and then we'll go from there. And then obviously the 2 that Kevin had planned for the fall, for the winter, Watch Avenue and Zeb Sunshine, are coming back. They're back right now, I believe, and they will start up and start jogging and training back. Kevin's whole idea was to have them ready December 1st. He's well on track, a great plan, and I can't wait to see it take place in the future. So that is a lot of what's going on in the stable. I don't know really what to call this video. I'm sure I've had it named by the time you look at it, but these are horses that we're keeping an eye on. Whether it be our broodmares, whether it be our racehorses, we're keeping an eye on these horses. So I'll be back in a minute. I do have some racehorses. What's going on this week at the stable I want to talk about. I don't know if it's a new segment. I guess we get it through the 2- and 3-year-old section also, but I wanted to touch on what's taking place right now at the stable. I'll be back in just a minute.